Mr. Consistency.
He's a 9 out of 10, week in, week out.
One of Super League's best ever.
To Roby! Saints are back in it!
As a leader, he's the best that I've worked with.
He's the most competitive player I've ever coached.
When James Roby talks, everybody listens.
One of the greatest ever to have played this great game of rugby league.
Robs is just an athlete.
He doesn't bow down to fatigue.
There's some scientists out there that should do an experiment on JR just to make sure he's human.
I don't know whether there'll be another one, and he's a special guy.
So Robs, we're here at the inner sanctum of the Totally Wicked Stadium to take a bit of a stroll through memory lane. In all of these, Robs, are moments, and your career's been defined by so many moments. So these are just a collection of those to have a look and have a chat about. There's a lot of differences between the James Roby we see now and maybe the James Roby that we see in this picture here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What, you haven't aged? Yeah. You're telling me you haven't aged?
No, it's, this is obviously my debut, isn't it, in March 2004 at Nosey Road against Widnes. It was a bit of a whirlwind, the backstory leading into this, and I remember I'd only actually trained with the first team 2 days before, and Ian Millward said, "You're on the bench on Friday," so obviously I was panicking, and I was actually that excited. I had a little old mini at the time, and I remember going back to sixth form in the afternoon after training.
I love that mini. Yeah. I remember that mini.
I crashed it outside the Gerrard pub. Yeah, I was that excited. I was buzzing. I was ringing my mum and dad and everything, saying, "Oh, you know, Ian Millward said I'm playing on Friday," and I ended up going into the back of someone at a junction, but luckily, they was all right. But I was just so excited to make my debut and obviously represent St Helens, because grew up as a local lad. That's all you want to do, isn't it?
James Roby takes the field. He comes on to make his debut for the Saints. Plan B, Mickey Hyam. Good ball, James Roby, first touch. Can he score? He's still driving to the posts. What a dream start for the youngster that would have been.
And I know people maybe look back at the rest of your career and the hundreds of games that you've played, but this nearly didn't happen, did it? It's not been a clear path for you to be, elite your life, has it? This was a challenging time in your life as well.
Obviously, as a kid, I was always, a pretty good player in and around town teams and stuff like that, and representative teams, and then probably them teenage years when you start, getting picked up by the clubs. A lot of my fellow teammates at my amateur club Blackbrook, people like James Graham, stuff like that, they all got signed on scholarships.
James Graham was a psychopath.
Yeah, he always has been.
Yeah.
But yes, I always remember a group of lads got scholarships, and there was a group that didn't, and I was in the group that didn't, and they got an extra bag of training kit, and they got to go and do weights on a Wednesday evening at Nosey Road, and just a few little bits like that I wasn't part of, and it really hurt me, to be honest. I was really gutted, and if anything, probably used it as a bit of motivation. Yeah, so it nearly didn't happen, and I think I was about 17 years old, or maybe just before 17, and we had a game for the academy up at Hull at the Boulevard, and I must have obviously had a decent game, because I remember Mike Rush coming to me after the game and said, "Oh, you deserve it, we're going to sign you on an academy contract," kind of thing, and I was just over the moon, do you know what I mean? And then it was kind of a whirlwind year and a half to this point.
James was an unsigned player at under 16s, and that's hard to say when he's just about to break a Super League record, 500 games for the club. But back then he was a little bit smaller, and although he was super talented at 11, he probably just hit a plateau at around about that 15, 16. We sort of spoke to the boys before the season started to say, regardless of anything, whoever the best player is at the end of the season, the best unsigned player, that there was a contract there, a guarantee that somebody would get another contract out of that run of games. And as we've shown you, on the 9th of September 2002, he signed his first ever deal, and well, the rest, as they say, is history. I could claim to be a genius, but I think there's an element of luck.
The biggest thing I've found special about James Roby, looking over his career, is his ability to be patient and loyal. So when he came into the ranks at St Helens, when I was coaching there, he had probably one of the greatest hookers in the game in Kieran Cunningham. And he had an English international emerging in Mick Hyam. So he had two hookers in front of him, and he had merged from being a halfback into a hooker. And the ability to be patient and just accept what was in front of him and really sort of hone in on his own game and how he could become a really long-term player for St Helens. We could talk about everything he's great as a player and what he brings to a team and how brave and tough, and he's a winner. But it's a rare quality of having patience and loyalty.
How old will you be in this picture?
20. Probably.
20?
Yeah.
So at 20, right, you've just won every single domestic honour in the game.
Yeah.
Now that's actually, I know it's ideal, but it's not easy to deal with actually, all of that coming in one big chunk.
Yeah, no, when you put it like that, to be honest, it sounds a lot, doesn't it? It's similar to Jack Wellsby at the minute with us kind of thing. He's come into the team and a lot of success at an early age. I'd like to think maybe this set me up for, you know, my career and further down the line, the experience of working with all these players, you know, with coaches, obviously Daniel there, Ian Millward, who gave me my debut. And yeah, just kind of learning what it takes to be a part of success.
And this guy, it's hard to see because I think Francis Melly is spraying champagne over his face. James Graham, at this time, you and him were just rising to prominence. And I know you used to get into each other quite a bit. I just remember him calling you the judge because you always came off the bench.
Yeah, he still goes on about that now. but obviously it's great to, you know, to kind of share that journey, if you like. You know what I mean? Like me and Jammer, we've always played, you know, against each other from being really young, and then when we were around 16, we came together at our amateur club, and then we've always been involved around, you know, representative teams and stuff like that. But to go through the professional game together was outstanding.
It was a very special year for us. We both came through together in 2006 when you're 20 and you know, we won everything that year. You think it's going to happen all the time, but obviously you get a bit older, you learn it doesn't. And yeah, it was incredibly special to share that bond with players that you come through with. I'd known Robe since, played against him since I was 8. What he does on a week-to-week basis, if you look at it, it is almost unbelievable. And he's going to break this Super League record. And there's some scientists out there that should do an experiment on JR just to make sure he's human. What a player.
Great defence, Roby and Graham.
It was an amazing time, wasn't it? It was a looser time though. I remember we had some fun around this time. I can't remember rugby being serious here, but I don't know if that's just how I remember it.
No, I remember
totally
agree.
We were sort of like winning things, fun. We drank quite a lot.
Call it a drinking culture or just an enjoy yourself culture. We worked hard on the field. Don't get me wrong there. You know what I mean? But obviously, you know, when we was off the field as well, we had a great time. And you look back and I've got nothing, but it just puts a smile on my face to think of 2006. You know what I mean? In terms of success on the field, the blokes that we had around, and obviously the stories and the memories that we've got.
This is the first time we see Doc Simon Perrott. This is his worst performance. St Helens' infamous doctor, who stands at the back of pictures, that's probably his worst performance.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see him again.
We'll see him again, but what a great time that was for us. Fantastic. Look, this is kind of inevitable, isn't it? Because, you know, as much as I think you'll be known for your successes, there was a large period after 2006. We had the star team that started to sort of break up, but sort of remarkably, we made a lot of grand finals. And I think this picture that shows Rob Burrow scoring against us at Old Trafford was a period where we lost 5 grand finals, you know, on the spin. That's an incredibly tough sort of thing to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, what an achievement to get there 5 years in a row. Well, especially after winning it in 06 as well. So it's 6 years really, isn't it? But yeah, we just, you know, fell up short on the final game and got taught a bit of a lesson really on big game, you know, rugby. And I always remember obviously that, you know, the team, like say either Burrow, Maguire, Sinfield, you know, Peacock, Luluai, you can go on, can't you? Jamie Jones, Buchanan.
I just always delivered. You just knew that you had to be on every single play. With Robes, you couldn't have a play-off because if you decided to do that at marker, he'd burn you. If you shot out the line, he'd throw a dummy and go through.
I think what gets lost sometimes with players of that ability is that because they do it every week, you forget how special they are, and you forget how special, as fans, I think sometimes forget how special they are. But when you play alongside a player like that, you just realise, you just know every single week he's going to deliver on his word, deliver his best, and I think that's what's made him stand out.
Do you know, people think I'm disappointed, but I'm not. Records are there to be broken, and I can't think of anyone better. If someone's going to beat it, he'd be number one.
Do you think about this often, or is it gone? Now you've got all the rest of the success in the bag.
You know, it's still there, and I'd like to think a little bit of, because you know, you see Johnny here, and there's players in this team, like yourself, who carried up. We've kind of been a part of. Me and you have been a part of that. We're a part of this, and then building towards, you know, what's later down the line. I'd like to think throughout this adversity, a bit of that iron will and iron belief that you know, you've got to learn your lessons, but you know, through hard times has built the foundations for the future.
Careers, you're not always like hugely motivated. Like there's times in people's careers where the motivation to do it comes and goes. Was there ever a point in this where you maybe didn't enjoy your job, or did this, do you know what I mean, did it affect you?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think definitely, you know, if you've played the game, or I suppose any sport, maybe in any job really, for so long, somewhere along the way, you're going to have peaks and troughs, aren't you? And you're going to lose a bit of motivation or a bit of desire or whatever, you know, that word may be. But yeah, I think definitely after, you know, losing 5 of these, we almost thought we were cursed, you know what I mean, in a way. And we thought,
do you think we felt we were sulky about it, weren't
we?
Probably
felt sorry for ourselves a bit too much, which probably carried over for a few years as well.
But ironically, your performances throughout this period were incredible though. Was this was like a great, you know, in terms of your form, 2007, you know, Man of Steel, you know, your form was great.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, sure. I'm always pretty rubbish remembering back for you know.
You don't have to, Robs. I'm telling you, mate. I was playing with you. You were great.
Cheers. I'll try.
So there's a lot happened between the last picture and this picture. New stadium was built. I think we changed coaches again. We had Nathan Brown at this point, and I think, is this the point we were far enough away from that sort of 2006, that star culture that we had, that it was something new starting?
Yeah, probably like you say, there's only probably myself, you and Wello still involved from 2006 there, and like you say, it is new. I look around here, loads of, you know, young lads' faces who have gone on to have, you know, great careers, but yeah, it was kind of a new beginnings, wasn't it, almost, and to get this win in this grand final, oh my God, we needed that so bad. Do you know what I mean? After going there to right the wrongs of the 5 in a row, you know, I just remember at the final whistle, obviously, you know, it's the iconic Wello beating the chest, but there was so much relief and just like, thank God that we got that done.
And what's your take really on how to be with younger players? You know, has your mindset changed? You know, you're still youngish here. You know, you're certainly a mature senior sort of player at this stage.
Maybe through this period, it probably a lot rested on you and Wello's shoulders, do you know what I mean? Like you say, I was a pretty quiet lad, you know, around this point, where really I probably, you know, there's an argument to say, well, you've got every right to be a bit more vocal than you are. And I think that's one lesson that I've only learned later on in my career.
Yeah, and I think this was the starting point of you know, you becoming more of a leader for sure. And definitely the springboard for the club to go on and be successful in the future. And had we lost that final, you know, you don't know which way it could have gone. It could have gone anywhere, couldn't it?
You don't know what would have happened. Luckily, we got the win, and like you say, kicked on from there.
Yeah, this is Paul Wellens' face here is incredible, isn't it? Have you ever really looked closely at this picture? Is he crying?
He could be, couldn't he?
Is he either crying or Sia Soliola's just doused him with sham?
Yeah, he looks pretty trim there, Wello.
He does, he's in good nick. He's definitely hit the sunbed. Wello's hit the sunbeds before the final, hasn't he, for sure. Yeah, good times, Robs, good times.
He's grew as the teams grew. And I think probably the teams grew because of James being the leader. He leads through his actions more so than anybody that I've seen. When James Roby talks, everybody listens, and his message is always very clear, to the point. You know, there's no confusion after Robes talks in the dressing room or at training. You know, so his leadership's evolved. He's the type of guy that you want to go into battle with, because he delivers. He delivers, so he doesn't ask anybody to do anything that he's not prepared to do himself.
As a junior, he just played the game. He went, pulled on a shirt, didn't talk, did everything by actions. As I come onto this coaching scene a little bit, I was trying to influence him a little bit and help him. Same again, he just led by his actions. And that was probably one of the reasons why I desperately wanted to make him captain of the club, but at the time John Wilkin was a greater voice in the dressing room where Robes was. But from my time away, he's naturally grew into the leader on and off the field, not just with actions. You can see he leads from the front every week.
God, we nearly won that game.
No, yeah, I remember being, we gave a penalty away, didn't we? We were like in the last minute of the game or something, and that must have levelled it and then gone to extra time.
It was Ryan Morgan who gave a penalty for obstruction or something.
Yeah.
But the ball was already in Benny Barber's hands.
Yeah.
He has kicked the goal for the first time ever. We're going to get golden point extra time. Chase on him, Luke Gale with a drop goal.
That's it.
He has kicked it, Luke Gale.
That was a tough night.
It was a tough one to take, that very much. You know, we thought we were building in the right direction, but maybe, you know, maybe that kind of heartbreak again is something that spurs you on further down the line.
Yeah, so let's not forget, Kieran was our coach, obviously a friend. We played and had Kieran around for a long time.
Yeah.
So he got moved on halfway through the year. And then I think a really important man for me, but I know for you, was Justin Holbrook. He came in, and I know you said we were building here, but it was building a lot off the back of Justin Holbrook, wasn't it? And what was it about Justin that clicked for you and him?
Yeah, Justin was, I like the way when he first come in, he kept things really simple, didn't he, to be honest, you know what I mean? He'd come in and he always had a smile on his face, which I thought was really important. Kind of just, you know, tinkered a little bit with what we were doing and maybe tidied up a bit of our standards in and around rugby and on the field, most definitely, in terms of like effort and hard work and things like that.
For years you set the benchmark in terms of fitness for the club and effort for the club. And do you think there's no surprises that then the characters that started to come through in Justin's era reflected that sort of behaviour?
Maybe, yeah. I think obviously Justin believed in those sorts of values as well, which, you know...
Because we started measuring little 1%. You know, things you used to do. Justin, at this point, we started measuring it all, didn't we?
Yeah,
so, for, you know, for people who didn't know how good you were, all of a sudden your effort areas scored very highly on what we valued, didn't they?
Definitely, like you say, there's no coincidence that obviously values, you know, those sorts of efforts and then values those sorts of players, and they're the ones who are going to get their opportunity. And another one here, Johnny Lomax, who's obviously... Everything he does is all his effort, you know, he'll give his all no matter what.
He's pretty mad though. He's one of the madder players. You know, he thinks a lot. I like to think about you, Robs, going home after this, right? You open a beer, you sat with Natasha, your wife, and quite quickly you seem to move on from things, can't you?
Yeah.
I'm not sure Johnny can do that as quite easily, but do you think that's been a strength for you, to get over things like this quickly?
Yeah, definitely. For me personally, I think definitely that's probably maybe one of the factors, you know, that why I've played so long is I managed to kind of switch off. Once it's done, it's done. I'm disappointed, I'm gutted and all this, but, you know, there's no point kind of, you know, being down about it and ruining all your off-season.
You're like a sealed vault. You just put all the bad stuff really deep down. It's locked. It's not going to come out, Robs, is it, at some stage?
You sound like my wife there. But yeah, it's, you know, I think everybody's different, aren't they? And there's no right or wrong answer, but some players, you know, they live and breathe the game, and, you know, who's to say that's wrong?
Well, to make James Roby captain, for me, was the obvious choice. You know, when I got over there, obviously the club wasn't doing too well, and we had so many good players there. We just had to get it right, and, you know, obviously how humble a man he is. He's so hard-working, so driven, and he's the most competitive player I've ever coached. But he hides that well due to how humble he is. You know, at the end of the day, he's just so special for the team and the town of St Helens. He's St Helens through and through, and that's what makes him the man that he is.
A special time because the club was on the up. We could feel it, couldn't we? You could feel it. And you were the spearhead of where the club was going. And although this was tough to take, Robs, you know, this was the start of what has been just an incredible period for the club. So we'll get on and have a look at some good stuff.
The memory of that try is unbelievable, do you know what I mean?
God, when it's sad there was no one there.
Yeah, like, because if this end here would have been Saints fans, that would have been absolutely insane. It would have been mental, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? But strange atmosphere, or lack of atmosphere really, we had to kind of create it ourselves. between us and Wigan, but such a fierce game.
Makinson got his first career drop goal last season in the grand final. Oh! He's hit the post. The chasers are on. The ball is just in. It's Wellesby.
And obviously thinking about this one as well, James Graham, I always remember, it was his last game, wasn't it, as a player, and obviously, like you say, you know, we've shared our career together, if you like, and I was just so made up for him because he's been a part of all them grand finals we talked about earlier.
And he
been to Australia,
had a bit
lost a couple over there.
Yeah, wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm so glad for him to get this one.
And he celebrated pretty hard after this, I'd imagine.
Like he always does.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was fantastic for us all, really, and obviously to back it up because this was the second one after the year before against Salford at Old Trafford.
Did you think, you know, when you sort of get to this position, you're winning 2, do you even start to think forward? Did you even think about the future after this?
Obviously you win 1, you think, oh well, can we do 2? We'll give it our best shot. We go on, we win 2. And I remember straight after this, we're thinking straight away, Free's in our sights, you know what I mean? Free's only been done once before by the famous Leeds team. You know, let's go for that. And
so that quickly you're already
straight away,
thinking about...
Obviously not probably this night, but you know...
Tuesday after Tuesday.
But yeah, I remember thinking pretty early, lads were having conversations around like, let's rip into pre-season, like before they've even gone on their holidays, do you know what I mean? And let's try and do this free, which obviously, you know, speaks volumes, I think.
What was your body like, and your mind like at this stage? You'd had a sort of period, you know, your body's creaking a little bit.
Oh yeah, for me personally, I was kind of, I was lucky to get to this point. I think the year before, 2019, I had a lot of issues, grumbling issue like groin injury, and we just couldn't seem to get to the bottom of it. I had surgery mid-season in 2019, turned out it didn't really help me and stuff, and then, yeah, so playing the 19 grand final, I remember, and if I watch footage back of that now, I could hardly move, to be honest. Anything lateral, I was knackered, you know what I mean? There's one, they had a try disallowed in the first half. Someone's just stepped all around me, I couldn't even move it. I was pathetic, you know what I mean?
Pathetic.
But I remember, obviously, I played the last couple of months of that season through gritted teeth, and finally ended up getting it sorted at the end of 19. You know, luckily, obviously, Nathan Miller, physio, he'd been there for years, but done a fantastic job. He obviously tracked down this guy who did this kind of procedure that nobody else did, and managed to get it sorted. In my mind, like I almost thought, well, you know, if we can't fix this issue, I'm pretty much done here because I can't carry on playing.
Had you had that conversation with your family about giving it away then?
Yeah, I think I had conversations thinking like if I can't perform to the standard that I want to perform, then, you know, I might as well, you know, call it a day, if you like. And it never really got, you know, to right to the end of the line, if you know what I mean. But like I say, luckily we got it fixed. I had the surgery in the pre-season.
And COVID, let's not forget.
COVID,
this, you know, the stadium's empty because of COVID. How was that for you? You know, not the team, but for you, how did you find that period?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie, the first lockdown was outstanding for me, you know, personally.
The weather's great.
The weather was brilliant. And I was coming off the back of, like I say, the injury. So I'd come back, played a few games, but then they put us on lockdown. So I think it was 16 weeks we had at home. With great weather, just time to let my body heal, do you know what I mean? Put my feet up.
Do you think that was important for
you? I think it was
timing-wise.
Very important, yeah. I think it almost come. I know obviously it's a global catastrophe and a lot of bad things happened during COVID, but the one good thing that happened for me personally was, like you say, that break. But I think for a lot of players, and I think a lot of people in general, really just enjoyed the break, the switch off, go home, and the weather was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Enjoy a bit of time at home with the kids. You know, try and not get too depressed with the homeschooling, but yeah, it was a great time for me. Like you say, I think it helped me professionally to recover and go on.
Where does this exact moment rank on the litany of amazing moments in your career?
Yeah, it's hard, but it's definitely up there in one of the most iconic. Do you know what I mean? If someone said to you now, like you've got the memory of winning your first grand final, which is nice, but I don't remember too much about it. But I remember this in particular. You'll never forget that. Do you know what I mean? Never forget Jack scoring that try in the fashion that he did. It is so iconic. It does stand at the forefront of my mind a lot with big games. But like you say, I'm very lucky that I've been involved in quite a few.
I know you're being modest because that's what you are like, but these guys all worship the way that you operate. And look, this was a big moment for him in 2020, but loads more to come for that guy. But they're following you out of the trenches, Robs.
He's captain, leader, legend, as everyone would say, won't they? He's an absolute icon of the club and icon to all those younger boys coming through. Whenever you have a meeting with your head coach or your academy coach coming through, they're the ones. Robes is the one they reference and want to replicate him and what he does. And I tell you yourself that he's not as dynamic as he used to be, but his hard work gets him through places and gets him to extreme heights that only he can reach. So to even be half as good as Robes is good enough usually.
The three-peat, like, it's a remarkable achievement, but given all what we've talked about and building of your career and all of what you've been through, like, how magical was this feeling?
Yeah, this was amazing. I remember the amount of hard work, like you say, and everything that's gone into achieving success, you know, into one, into two, and then obviously, you know, all the talks around, you know, can they do three? Three's only been done once before, blah, blah, blah. You know, we spoke about it at great lengths as a squad. You know what I mean? Behind closed doors, we spoke about what this would mean to us and what we've got to do and how we want to be remembered, obviously, and stuff like that. And you know, there's a lot of motivation to go on and do this. And luckily for us, we did. I remember this game in particular, obviously against Catalan at Old Trafford there, where it was in the balance for a bit. Do you know what I mean? I remember not long after half time, and I was, you know, getting a little bit worried, if you like, and then. Obviously, Johnny puts the kick through for Kev to score the try with 10 or 15 minutes left. But then as soon as he'd scored that try, I knew our defence had hold out, kind of thing. I knew, you know, we've got it in the bag here. If we just do what we do, have pride in our defence, then, you know, I'll back us to see it out, and that's what we did.
Specifically, this moment right now is a rare moment. It's not rare because, look, our doctor again, Simon Perrett's found his way into the picture, but to lift the trophy, to have the honour of captaincy and doing that, how important has the captaincy been for you as a person, and how has it changed maybe how you think about the game?
Yeah, that's a tough question, but yeah, so first of all, that moment is unbelievable. You know what I mean? That'll stay with me forever. You can't, if I could bottle that, you know, that little 10 seconds there or whatever it is in the thing, it's unbelievable.
Like a tidal wave of like
emotion,
like
just everything,
joy, relief,
exactly,
everything.
Yeah, everything just come out in one. Pride of, you know, kind of pride in obviously yourself and your teammates, everybody involved in the organisation, I suppose, and just all that hard work and effort that you've done, everything you've done behind closed doors, you know, that people don't see the sacrifices you make. You know, it's all for moments like this, and yeah, that was a massive moment for me as a captain as well. Obviously, to lift 3 in a row is fantastic and unbelievable. And like you say, it's only been match 1 before, and you know, and I remember the first trophy I lifted and feeling a bit weird, and I was a bit like, oh, I was a bit embarrassed almost.
Why?
I don't know. I think because the first time you're a captain,
What about the timing of it? When should I lift it? Should I lift it now?
A bit of everything, yeah. And how's it going to look, and the timing. I'm going to synchronise with the fireworks and everything. And should I be the one at the front lifting it and all that? But then, I think this one in particular.
Oh, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing by it.
I was very, very proud to lift that trophy.
I wanted to take you to a place where not many people would go. Logically, looking at this picture, you go, "Wow, an achievement, unbelievable." But where mentally do you go 2 days after this, 3 days after this, 4 days after this, when your alarm goes?
Yeah.
And that moment's gone, right?
Yeah.
It's just gone. Like, how mentally have you coped with success following? Does that euphoria, does it carry on for a period, or are you very quick?
Yeah, it's a bit of both really. It is very short-lived, but then again, it does kind of, if that makes sense, it does kind of stay with you for a while. But like I say, I think you've got to learn to enjoy, not just enjoy that moment, you've got to enjoy the process, you've got to enjoy the journey, haven't you? And that's one thing, you know, we spoke about as a team. We're going to enjoy everything that, you know, the opportunity to come to work every day and have a laugh with our mates and throw, you know, shorts and t-shirt on and play rugby for a job. How good's this? But at the same time we want to be doing the right things by working hard and giving it the respect it deserves, and doing everything right away from rugby as well, behaving. And the game's so professional nowadays, you know what I mean? Everybody does the right thing, and the trust that we've got in this group is unbelievable. And
it's not like 2006 then, it's changed.
Yeah, it's changed. I suppose times have changed, haven't they? There's no reason to say that one we was wrong at the time, because that's how everything was at the time, society and in general and stuff. But yeah, I just do think now that a team like this is accountable for their actions pretty much all the time, rather than maybe in the past. As long as you turned up and did your job, that was enough.
Yeah, I think just an incredible moment for the club's history and yours. And you just said something there, and it just, it made me think about why people continue to do something for so long, and it's got to be built on enjoyment.
Yeah, definitely.
You would not be here now if you hadn't enjoyed all of that. The full process, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, and you've got to enjoy, obviously, the good and the bad. Like, we're all a bit weird now, you're the same as me. We were talking earlier about, pre-season and doing the hard fitness sessions and stuff where, you actually enjoy the discomfort. Do you know what I mean? You enjoy suffering, and it's probably a weird part about it. But
no, we are sadistic. Yeah. You've got to be sadistic.
We've got to, but you've got to enjoy it, and that obviously it helps when you're winning games. It helps when you're winning trophies, and have great people around you and good teammates and stuff. But at the end of the day, you've got to, because you don't want to be getting out of bed and going to something that you don't enjoy, and life's too short for that, isn't it? And I've been incredibly privileged, and yourself as well, to make it as a professional rugby league player and call this a job. And I very much still enjoy it every day, and even more so now. I know it's coming to the end, so I've kind of trying to savour it and appreciate everything as much as I can, take as much as I can in. And I'm training with 17, 18-year-old lads every day. They still make me, even though I don't look it, I feel like a young lad.
You look you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
You look well into your 30s, maybe. But I think that's such a big point for people. Is you got to just remember to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, enjoy it. And it seems to me like this has been a good thing to do, because you get to realise how much you've enjoyed the full process,
Yeah, because sometimes, like you say, and myself being one of those who doesn't really, I don't really watch many games back and stuff like that. I'm very much, once I'm at home, don't talk about rugby and all that. So sometimes it takes things like this to reflect, doesn't it, and realise how privileged you have been. And
you've never watched this grand final back?
No.
What about the one before it?
I don't really watch games
one before
back,
that.
No. But
what about your Challenge Cup final try in 2007? Have you watched that?
I watched clips, obviously.
Oh, right, so you watched your highlights? You watched your highlights?
I've seen the clips, and obviously I've seen Jack try, like the 1 minute clip and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's just how I am, and it's always worked for me to switch off from rugby as much as I can.
Well, this has been an enjoyable part of your life, for sure, but then it brings on the question about what's next, James, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much.
As a leader, he's the best that I've worked with, and you talk about the things you want from a leader. The first thing you want is for them to lead by example, and he does that every single day, every single training session, and everything he does, every game. He's always the guy out there leading by example and asking the other players to follow him.
He wants to win everything that he's involved in, whether that be a bit of conditioning, training, or in the gym, or he holds himself to very high standards, and because of that, and him being the way he is, and as I've already said, humble, and the respect that we all have for him, you want to follow him, and that's what we all aim to do. For myself personally, as I say, there's no one that I've enjoyed being under more than him.
When he doesn't talk all the time, but when he's got a message, it's strong, it's to the point, and it's exactly right. And because of the relationships he's built with the players over such a long time, and the trust and the bond that's there, if he gives a player feedback, they know it's coming from the right place, and they certainly hang on that feedback.
So Robs, talk me through this one.
I'm not sure. The great unknown, isn't it, I suppose? The future of what happens next.
Well, but look, we can't talk about what happens next without talking about this year. And look, the Saints team after the three-peat, could this be a picture of you really knowing how to lift a trophy?
Yeah. Well, I'd love nothing more than that, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? That'd be absolutely perfect. I suppose, you know, that's the ultimate goal. You know, there's no lying, no denying it. I suppose it's we want to go on and achieve 4 in a row, which would be an unbelievable achievement. But there's quite a long way to go yet. But having said, you know, we're doing all right at the minute. We're sitting top of the table and stuff. But you know, it doesn't really mean much unless you, like we spoke about earlier, we get to them big games and seal the deal.
And if this is James Roby lifting the trophy, or it's not, is this the last season we'll see you playing?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What do you mean, pretty much?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean?
I won't let myself admit
know?
it, I suppose. But
why?
Because I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, no, I am sure, but there's just a small part of me. I don't know, that never say never. You never know what will happen. But I'm done.
That's nonsense.
If that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So you're pretty sure.
Yes,
But let's put a percentage on it. Like I'm
90% sure I'm done.
90%, the 10%.
Oh, 95. But yeah,
10%.
I'm happy. I'm content with what I've done. I can tell there's a few telltale signs in my body, mentally, things like that. I'd like to kind of go out on my own terms. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm ready for it now.
And what's your biggest fears about retiring? What from this career? It's 19 years of your life. You know, we just said longer than that. You've been playing rugby since you were 7. What's your biggest fears about what might fill this?
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it's the unknown. I suppose on one hand I'm very excited by potentially, you know, something totally new, almost a new start of a new career, if you like. I've still got ambition and drive in me, so whatever I go into, I want to obviously, you know, try and succeed. So I'm excited by that, but also pretty nervous and pretty unsure about, you know, what it actually looks like, because, like you say, all my adult life I've been a rugby league player, coming to train every day with a group of lads, and you know, come the end of the season, that's going to end. So, you know, I'm going to have to adapt pretty quickly.
It might not come to an end. You know, you're pretty much guaranteed. The 10% is like 50% in my eyes. 19 years, favourite moment. Is it something we've seen? Is it a moment in your career, or is it potentially what could sit here come the end of this season?
Yeah, very much so. It could obviously potentially be on this canvas here, but yeah, you know, when you say their favourite moment, there's ones whizzing through my head. I'm trying to remember, and obviously success comes along the way, and there's been a lot of great moments and a lot of great teammates and stuff. But yeah, I think, you know, if we was to go on and do what we want to achieve, then, you know, that would be the ultimate one.
Yeah, well, for me, mate, it was a privilege to play. You know, we had matching timelines, so it was a privilege for that. But I think actually I've been as proud, if not more proud, watching what you've done since obviously I finished playing. So let's hope this canvas is one that you'll take home. Will you put that up? If we get you this canvas made with you lifting the grand final, will that go up in Casa Roby?
We'll find somewhere, yeah. But yeah,
You'll
maybe
we'll
find somewhere for it, yeah.
All right, awesome, mate. Well done.
No problem. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
All right,